Welcome to the Astro Weekly Forecast for the week of June 17th through to the 23rd. This week, lots of Cancer energy is coming into the skies onto this planet. And Cancer energy is nurturing, loving, intuitive, empathic, can be emotional, and requires boundaries. So that is the name of the game this week, is boundaries and understanding your energy, where it begins, where it ends, what is yours, what is not yours, because it's going to get very, very murky. So we start out we start out the week on Monday, June 17th, in a second quarter phase of the moon. So the moon is gaining light and it is in Libra as we start off the week. So this is kind of giving a flavor for the week of finding boundaries and balances between others, rebalancing with yourself and others. You're trying to understand what others need of you, what you want, and can you find the win-win? Because Libra does this so well. They find sort of this equilibrium. They can find the fulcrum point that finds that balance between who am I and who am I when I'm in relationships. And that's going to be really needed this week. So on Monday, we have two exciting things happening. Two planets are changing signs, and it's Venus and Mercury. Venus and Mercury are moving together out of Gemini into Cancer. So everything that happens to one is kind of happening to the other. And that's why we have so many aspects this week. So as Mercury moves into Cancer, we are finding ourselves feeling more intuitive. Emotional intelligence is going to come in. So from Gemini, which is cerebral intelligence, thinking, a lot of doing, a lot of this and that, can be really scattered, taking in lots of information, knowledge, reading, all the social media. We're now kind of coming back to home. Cancer is the sign of home. It's a divine feminine. What makes us actually feel good? What is our true mission purpose? What is coming in from within? What is our spirit telling us? So this energy is now going to really come into a place of wisdom from within, and what is your intuition guiding you to? It can also make you very empathic and intuitive, meaning that you're picking up the energy of the spaces and people around you. So becoming very aware of, what does that look like for you? What are you noticing? How do you notice what's yours and what's not? A great way to do that is through meditation. When you sit in your own energy, feeling what you feel like versus when you're around other people, and creating that grounded tether to yourself, to the ground, to the earth, so that you're not being pulled every which way. And then Venus also moves into Cancer, and Venus in Cancer is very intuitive. It just wants to be in relationship with others in a safe place. So Venus might also in Cancer wants to be at home, and Venus is what we love and value. So that values, our beauty, aesthetic, money, all of that is considered Venus. So now we might want to spend our money, instead of like courses and getting more information, we want to spend our money on things that actually benefit our inner knowing, our inner foundation, shoring up our homes. You might even want to redecorate. You might want to feel like you want to renovate the home. You might realize that you want to declutter and get rid of things that aren't really serving you anymore. So those kinds of wonderful aspects of Cancer Venus is about nurturing an emotional connection. Expect a shift towards deeper emotional connections, sensitivity, and compassion in relationships. This transit enhances our ability to express love, affection, empathy towards yourself and others, and it's an excellent time to nurture bonds and create a sense of emotional security and safety and belonging. So it's a wonderful time to really be at your home base, within home, noticing who fills up your bucket and who empties it, noticing where you feel the most safe as well. Cancer is a sign of sort of safety, home nurturing. And then same thing with Mercury, our mind will shift towards introspection, sensitivity, and intuitive communication. This transit enhances your ability to tune into your feelings and inner guidance, and it makes for an excellent time to journal, introspect, deep conversations with trusted confidants, right? You're not wanting to share your manifestations with people that don't feel safe to you. And then at the same time, as Venus and Mercury are moving together through Cancer, they are going to have experiences with other planets together. We call those transits and aspects. So as they transit through the beginning degrees of Cancer, they're going to make a square, sorry, to Neptune. And Neptune's in Pisces. So Neptune in Pisces is our intuition, compassion, connection to the divine. And this square is helping, oh, it's not helping us. It actually feels like confusion. It can help us, not help us. It is making things feel murky. We don't know maybe who to trust. This can be, issues in communication as well. This is not a time to make big purchases, not a time to make major decisions in relationships. This is inviting you to express your feelings of authenticity and vulnerability, staying heart centered, and fostering deep emotional connections and understanding. But that square to Neptune can be confusing or create idealization. So you're like, you should be better than this. I feel like, we could be so much more if you could just stay grounded, or you could do your healing, where we are idealizing others, where we're holding them to a high standard, but really that's for you, not them. It's, can you just accept the person that's there in front of you? And you might find communication is a little murky right now. You might get some confusing news around money or values or things like that. So it's a time really of discernment and navigating clarity. So if you don't know, something doesn't seem right, ask questions until you get the answer that you're looking for. An answer, not necessarily the answer you're looking for. And again, not a great time to make big investment changes, anything with banking, any giving people money that you don't know, not a good time for that. Also on this day, Mercury and Venus are going to quincunx Pluto. So quincunx to Pluto, actually Venus is going to quincunx Pluto the next day, but for the sake of it, for Monday, we're going to talk about Mercury quincunx to Pluto. And Pluto is retrograde in Aquarius. Pluto is death, rebirth, and transformation, and Mercury is our mind. So quincunx means we need an adjustment here. The two planets are not flowing properly together. It's not a trine, which is harmonious, and it's not a square, which is a challenge. It's kind of an in-between. There's a kink in the energy, and not kink in a good way. This is a kink where your mind and doing something evolutionary, revolutionary, it feels like they need to come together. So this can be a bit frustrating. We're just not quite moving forward. We're not getting the clarity that we want. And this aspect calls for honesty, transparency, self-awareness, and navigating deep-seated emotions and psychological dynamics. So we want to talk it out, and the other person is like giving us the runaround or trauma response, and you're like, what is happening? Why can't you just be honest with me? And they're like, I am being honest with you, back off. They just need some space. So now is not the time to hash out big things. Now is not the time to have deep conversations about hard things. Now is not the time. You're just going to get so confused. Tuesday on June 18th, we're going to have Venus now have that in conjunct to Pluto as well. So this is going to be, power struggles, relationship conflicts. We're just not seeing things properly with that square to Neptune as well. So the beginning of this week is going to shape up to be a little bit turbulent, right? This is not a time to make big decisions or have big relationship conversations. This is a great time to introspect and to write down, what are you feeling? What are the emotions coming up? What is the issues here? And as you dive deep into what does this remind you of from your past, you might notice that there's a thread here that's coming up around abandonment or not being heard, not being seen. This is going to reflect something back to you that is within you. Pluto likes to create transformation by creating upheaval, right? So there's something going to happen at the beginning of this week that's really going to reflect back to you ways that you don't feel worthy, ways that you aren't feeling heard, people that you're around that aren't really serving you in some way. Just noticing what is being reflecting back to you. Great time to introspect, not a great time to have deep conversations with people about how you're not being heard and why your needs are not being met. That's going to come later, just not today. Okay, just not today. And I mean, if you have to speak your truth, you have to speak your truth. It just will not be received in the vein that you are intending it at this moment in time, right? The energy is just wonky. Thursday, June 20th, the sun moves into Cancer. This is called summer solstice for those of us, or the summer, welcoming summer. Those of us in the astrological community, we call this summer solstice or the sun ingress into Cancer. And this is a time now where we really shift into the changing of the seasons. It's summer, right? In the northern hemisphere, it's summer. In the southern hemisphere, it's winter. And this is a time now of like being in relationships and connection with people that really make you feel good. And Cancer inherently brings up a lifelong life lesson for every Cancerian is to determine who is family and who is not. So blood is not thicker than water. Okay, it's not. We'd like to be told that from a cultural dynamic and a biological imperative. I think we try to say that, but you can actually have deeper connections with people who are not in your family. And Cancerians inherently have that lesson written into their lifetime. You will be determining who is, part of your family and who is not. So as the sun moves into Cancer, the sign of emotions, nurturing, the home, the divine feminine, intuition, domestic affairs, meaning things of the home, not affairs, you know what I mean? This transit invites you to connect with your feelings, honor your innermost needs, create a sense of security and belonging in your home and family life. Embrace this time to nurture yourself and loved ones and deepen your emotional connections and create a sanctuary of love and support. So happy summer solstice. So those, and happy birthday Cancerians, right? Some of my favorite people are Cancerians. They're just the most loving and kind people ever. And then also on this day, Thursday, June 20th, the sun is going to square Neptune. So that's, every planet that's going through the beginning degrees right now of Cancer are going to then have this square to Neptune and then this quincunx to Pluto. And so square to Neptune makes us feel like we can't see things properly. The sun represents our vitality and our identity. And so when it's square to Neptune, we are lazy. There is nothing that motivates you more than just wanting to lay in bed and have a nap. And Cancerians inherently just need more sleep and more time at home. So you might just want to kind of stay home or, call in sick on Thursday. This is a time when you're going to have some confusion or disillusionment in domestic affairs or things surrounding the home. This aspect calls for discernment, clarity, and boundaries, right? There's three things that are needed with that square to Neptune and all this watery energy of emotions and intuition. You're going to feel very, very sensitive this week. So that grounding practice, so important. And then to add a little more fuel to the fire, we also have a full moon in Capricorn on Friday, June 21st. So this full moon in Capricorn, the moon is opposite the sun. So the sun is just at the beginning degrees of Cancer. So this is going to be the beginning degrees of a Capricorn full moon. And Capricorn now, the Capricorn Cancer axis, this opposition, right? The sun being in Cancer, which is our intuition, our emotions, our nurturing, our home, our mothers. And then Capricorn is self-mastery, passion, mission into the world. How are we shining our light that's helping people? So using that inner foundation to now create a foundation and strength to then hold people as we are creating mastery, as we are being the authority figure out into the world in the area in which you are an authority. So, and everyone has an area in which they are an authority, right? And that's determined on the experience that you have, the schooling, the education you have, the things that you love to talk about, the things that you have learned either through self-education or formal education. You all are masters in something. So this full moon, right, inherently a full moon is very destabilizing because it's an opposition. So we're trying to find the balance between our emotions and our beingness, right? Our divine masculine doingness in the world. So the being and the doing, we're kind of in this kind of finding the balance between the two. And this inherently is kind of a very emotional axis too, because of that Cancer moon, the Cancer sun, and all the planets in Cancer, Mercury and Venus. There's also that square then to Neptune. So this is a time where this full moon is going to go back to January 11th and see what seeds you planted during that time, because this is a culmination now of the seeds that you're planting in January. And that square to Neptune is going to help you to confront illusions or barriers or old patterns that are standing in the way of your dreams, of your goals, of your mission, because Capricorn is about being an authority. What did you come here to do? What is your mission, and what's standing in the way of that? And where can you shore up then your inner foundations that then release those patterns out of the way so that you can step into mastery, that you can step into who you came here to be. So there's going to be, buckle up. It's going to be an emotional moon. And again, bring yourself back to grounding, to safety, to security of self. What does that feel like for you? Eating nourishing foods, doing your self-care routines, grounding, having meditations that you come back to self, feel your heart, who are you, and noticing where you feel like your boundaries might be a little murky. Okay. And then the last transit of this week, which you probably can kind of guess, the sun is in conjunct to Pluto, happening on Saturday, June 22nd. So Saturday, June 22nd, the sun is now, there's need for adjustment between our vitality and our intuitive, emotional, divine feminine nature, and Pluto, death, rebirth, and transformation in Aquarius. So like, how are we not stepping into our light to then be this source for humanity's healing and evolution, right? Where are we contributing to division in the collective? And where are your ideals now not in step with your values, or you're not living your life according to your values? So this sun quincunx, or sometimes called an inconjunct to Pluto, highlights a power struggle and the conflicts of emotional dynamics and personal identity. This aspect calls for honesty, self-awareness, and empowerment in navigating deep-seated fears, desires, and motivations. Embrace this time as an opportunity to confront hidden truths, reclaim your personal power, and transform limiting beliefs to create a life of authenticity and purpose. And that is inherently how we're going to end off the week. Where are you not being in your authentic purpose, living in authenticity? Where are you dimming your light because people think that's too much, or what will people think of you? It's like, could you imagine if you died today thinking living your life according to everyone else's standards? And even after you died, they're like, well, girl, did you see what she was dressed in? Did you know that she did this thing? People are going to talk about you regardless. So why not make it juicy, right? Why not just be yourself and let the real people who need you find your light? Let the real friends who know that you are amazing and love being around you, let them find you. And as you become more and more authentic, you'll just notice that you'll shed all these inauthentic layers that people used to like. The masks that you wear no longer like you because you don't wear that mask anymore. And bless, right? We just bless and release them to find people who more like their masks than you do anymore, right? Everybody serves a purpose, an opportunity in your life. And can you just have gratitude that everybody that's here in your life right now is serving an opportunity, a purpose, a mission, supporting you, right? For a reason, a season, a lifetime. Not everyone's going to be there for a lifetime, if any. You are a growing human being. You are an evolving soul, and you're not going to have the same people in your life for the whole time of your life. I mean, it's odd, right? I mean, does it happen for certain people? Sure. But it's the exception, not the norm. So allow friends to change, allow life to shift, right? What are you not accepting? I always say the fastest path to peace is acceptance. So what are you not accepting about yourself in your situation? Wishing you so much love, so much grounded knowing of yourself, and allowing the waves of emotion to wash over you this week. And I will see you next week.